Hello and welcome, Padre fans. I know it was a rough weekend. Nobody wants to lose to the Dodgers ever, especially when we went into this series thinking, okay, we got a chance now. We got Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Drury, Josh Hader, who didn't even appear in the series. There was an amazing high going into the weekend. I get that. I was even thinking, okay, we can take at least one game, maybe two games from the Dodgers. That would be a great thing. We could even sweep the Dodgers. Okay, it didn't turn out that way. Now, the first game, we had Gosselin on the ropes, but Manny got called for. And I'm not making an excuse. I know Dodgers. I'll cry more. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. Is the whole inning was completely changed by that bad call on Manny. I think we score at least one or two runs and put some pressure on the Dodgers and Gosselin. The problem is the Padres, we never really put pressure on the Dodgers because we couldn't score. Now, the second game, we took the lead 3-2. It looked like things were going good. Clevenger was pitching great, and then he makes a bad pitch to Max Muncy. Throws a floater over the middle, and Muncy crushes it. When we know he can't hit fastballs, his weakness is fastballs. That was a bad decision. I don't know who called for that pitch, whether it was Clevenger or I believe it was Nola behind the plate. I can't remember who the catcher was. I don't think it was Alfaro. I think it was Nola. Again, I could be wrong. But the Padres, like I said, we went into that series thinking, okay, we have a chance now. We can beat the Dodgers. It didn't turn out that way. People on Twitter, they're going ballistic. We're losing it. Again, we're not going to catch the Dodgers anyway. Dodgers have that division, and that helps them. They can play loosey-goosey. They have 14 and a half games now on the Padres, 15 games on the Padres. No way they lose that division. There's no way they're not going to win the National League West, and they're a great team. They're a fantastic team. They have great pitchers. They throw a good pitcher out there every single game. Their bullpen is great. I'm not really sold on Kimbrel. I don't think he's the pitcher he was a few years ago. But the Padres have a really good team, and they have good pitching. It just hasn't shown up in the last week or so. I know a lot of people out there are worried about Joe Musgrove. I'm not worried about him. He'll come back. He's had a couple really bad games. The last 5 games, people are pointing out his ERA is really high. He's 0-5. But a lot of those hits were dinks and dunks and not, they weren't solid shots. He's made some bad pitches. But Joe Musgrove has the talent. He'll bounce back. I'm not worried about him. Snell looks like he's coming around, which is a great sign. Darvish is Darvish. Darvish is constantly consistent. He could have easily won that game yesterday. He kept the Padres in the game, 2-0 through 6 innings. And then Garcia came up and gave up a couple runs. Now, we can't let people like Muncy and Bellinger beat us. I'm okay with Betts and Turner and some of the other players, and Freeman they have, and even Will Smith, the catcher. They're really good players. I mean, they're great players. I mean, Will Smith, you look at him and go, he's not a great player. He's great against the Padres, all right? And he is a solid player. But we can't let Bellinger beat us, and you can't let Max Muncy beat us. We can't let those guys beat us. We have to bear down as a pitcher. You have to bear down and pitch to those guys like you're capable of pitching and not let those. I mean, Bellinger, 2 home runs yesterday. Come on. He's not the player he was a few years ago. Now, defensively, he's still a good defensive player, but offensively, he's not that guy anymore, and we're letting him beat us. And that's just something the Padres have to do a better job of. Now, I was on Twitter yesterday, and I said the Padres need to be more like the Dodgers. Now, Tyler Anderson, who pitched yesterday, came into this season 29-38 overall with an ERA close to 5. Now, he goes to the Dodgers. Suddenly, he's Cy Young. He's 13-1 with an ERA of 2.72. Now, it could help that he's with the Dodgers, and he knows they're going to score some runs for him. They know he's going to play good defense. They're going to play good defense behind him. But all of a sudden now he's a great pitcher. He wasn't before. He wasn't a great pitcher before. What are the Dodgers doing that the Padres aren't? The Padres, their drafts have been better of late, but we're still not developing those players into major league stars, or at least players that we can use. Now, if Abrams would have came up and been a star right away, I don't think we have Soto. I don't think we trade. We have Abrams. I think Abrams someday is going to be a star. I think he has the talent. And like I said in last week's video, I think he's just lackadaisical. I think he just kind of, and he needs experience. He's young. Everyone thought he was going to be Fernando Tatis Jr., and he wasn't. And he's not, and probably never will be. Fernando Tatis Jr. is just an amazing talent. He's an amazing talent that can't stay on the field. Now he's doing his rehab assignment in San Antonio. I would love to see him come back tonight against the Giants. I think it'd be a big deal. Probably not going to happen. They're probably going to hold him off until this weekend against the Nationals. But the Padres, in order to compete with the Dodgers, we have to be like the Dodgers. We can't outspend them. Even though ownership has poured a ton of money into this team, money that we haven't seen since Ray Kroc back in the early 80s, putting money into a team, going out and signing. It's one thing to sign big-name talent, but you have to put that talent together. And I think Bob Melvin, people now, Bob Melvin's a terrible manager. Bob Melvin's this. 2 months ago, Bob Melvin was God. Now he's a terrible. I think Padre fans are panicking, and rightfully so. I've been a fan since day one. You can see right now I'm an old guy. I'm going to be turning 60 this week. I've been a Padre fan since day one. I want a championship. You want a championship. We all want that World Series championship, especially more since the Chargers left. A lot of us said, hey, screw the Chargers. I'm out of here. I did the same thing. I go, you don't show any loyalty. I'm not going to show any loyalty to you. But the Padres are what we have. And again, you have Manny, Tatis, Soto. Those are some big name talents. And now people are comparing the big three for the Dodgers, Betts, Turner, Freeman, to Soto, Manny, Tatis. We haven't had our three together yet. People, Dodger fans. Now, no one in the chat says the Dodgers don't buy their team. Well, they do and they don't. Like I said, I just mentioned their big three. Those weren't brought up from the Dodger farm system. They went out and either traded for them or bought them as free agents. So, but the Dodgers do a better job, like I said earlier, of developing players in their farm system and putting them in the major league team. I don't care how you build a team, to be honest with you. I don't care if you go out and sign 25 free agents and you win. Bottom line is you want to win, but you have to build. But for the Padres, again, they don't have the money the Dodgers have. They can't just keep going toe-to-toe with them. Eventually, it's going to be like, okay, the Dodgers can spend $500 million. There's no way Padre ownership's going to do the same. There's just no way. We just don't have the resources to compete with the Dodgers in that way. That's why we're drafting players, but now we have to bring those players up to fill spots. Because number one, eventually you need to replace your talent, or you have to replace players, but you also have to, the money-wise, you have to, I guess Noah didn't like what I said, he left. But anyway, so you have to build players. I lost my train of thought. You have to have players at a lower price. A young player coming up isn't making $30, $40 million a year. He's making the league minimum or $1 million, $1.5 million. That's how you compete with the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I think, right now, like I said, I'm sorry, no, I apologize. But the Padres, again, to compete, you have to do that, and they have to do better. I said getting coaches. We need to steal the coaches from the Dodgers. And I wasn't talking about Roberts or Pryor. I think Roberts is a good manager, but he's a good manager with great talent. I think if you put him on a team with less talent, I've seen him make a lot of mistakes. But they're so good, and they have a system, and each hitter goes up there. I think Darvish said yesterday after the game, they have a plan. They have a job to do. You know, they work the count. There's always somebody on base. I mean, Mookie Betts, I swear he's on base every time. He just hits the ball. He kills us. Well, he's a great player, but he's always on base. And you put Betts and Turner at the top of the lineup, they're going to steal bases. They're going to manufacture runs. The Padres don't do that. The Padres don't steal bases. They don't run. They have some speed, but they never seem to steal bases. Now, it's hurt that Tatis. Tatis is the guy that's going to steal bases. Tatis is our Mookie Betts. He's the straw that stirs the drink. We need Tatis. We've needed him all season. Now, this guy has to do a better job of staying healthy and not going on the IL. He's doing us no good, not playing. I mean, here it's August 8th, and he still hasn't played a game. Now, we thought he'd be back in June. That's what we were told originally. I guess that was a pipe dream, obviously, because he's still not back yet. I mean, I don't want him to rush back because I don't want him to get hurt. He gets hurt and then he's out again next year. But Tatis has to do a better job of taking better care of himself on and off the field. Now, if he doesn't have to dive for a ball, if he doesn't have to steal a base or go, if the Padres are up 9-0, don't take the extra base. I know it's hard to tell someone not to hustle, but sometimes you have to do, like Manny. Manny, I mean, he gets that reputation. He's lazy. He doesn't hustle. He doesn't care. Manny cares. Manny wants to win. I know he's taking some crap today because he said, I'm Manny effing Machado, or I'm whatever he said, because he was frustrated. I kind of like that. I mean, I want somebody that's upset that they lost the game. He had a bad series. He made a critical error in game 2 that should have been a double play, and it wasn't. It led to 2 more runs. He didn't hit very well. He was struggling, but the whole team was struggling, except Soto. Soto had a pretty good series. But the Padres, there has to be some kind of identity. What are we? You can't just go up there going, okay, I'm going to hit a home run every time up. It just doesn't happen. Again, look at the roster. I have a lineup here of Profar leading off, Soto second, Tatis third, Manny fourth, Bell fifth, Drury sixth, Cronenworth seventh, Alfaro eighth, and then if with Nola playing, then I would switch. And then you have Myers or Grisham playing because Myers has played pretty well since he's come up too. And Grisham looks like he's starting it. That's a great lineup. That lineup shouldn't just get 2 hits in a game. I know it's the Dodgers pitching, but they shouldn't get 2 hits in a game. Now, obviously, Tatis wasn't there yesterday, but still, we should have gotten more than 2 hits yesterday. I mean, it's frustrating for a pitcher. This has been going on all season. I mean, the lineup we had before, you take out Soto, Tatis, Bell, Drury. That lineup, I expect, I wasn't shocked when they got 2 hits. Adding those players, we should get more than 2 hits. Now, again, it happens. Some days, sometimes you have good games, sometimes you have bad games. But we have to do better, and there has to be some kind of plan. I mean, I don't know what the plan is. Like I said, I like Bob Melvin. I think he's a good manager. I think he's good enough to take us to the World Series. I still think the Padres can win the World Series. I still think with getting Tatis back, and again, when you've had such a crappy run, the last 3 years with the Dodgers, they've owned us the whole career, but we've been terrible. We've been one of the worst teams in baseball up until a few years ago. The Padres aren't that team anymore. We should be able to compete with the Dodgers, and it just was terrible this weekend. It was depressing watching the games where you're sitting there going, God, just win a game. Get a hit here. The Dodgers, like I said, they go up there, they work the count. What do we have? Profar that works the count, Soto that works the count. Other than that, I don't see anybody else working the count. We're just swinging for the fences. You get a guy, we had runners at first and second. I think it was the second game with no outs, with Bell, Drury, and I think Cronenworth coming up. And what happened? They're still sitting there. They don't even move. You have to advance the runners. The Dodgers do a fantastic job. Yeah, a leadoff hit. Mookie Betts he's a table setter. He gets them on base. Again, like you said, single is a double for him. The Padres can't throw anybody out. And I think a lot of times we blame the catchers. It's the pitchers a lot of times. They're stealing the bases off the pitchers. They get such a huge jump. Johnny Bench ain't throwing those guys out. But the Padres have the pitching. Jim Otari says Tatis will be back soon. He'll be back hopefully this weekend. I'm going to the game Saturday in Washington, hopefully it's a win. Noah says, one issue at the leadoff spot when Tatis comes back, he should be there. What you're saying, Profar as the leadoff spot, is that you want him to have the most at-bats. I just think that Profar does a great job of working the count. He's actually done really well at the leadoff spot. Now, if you want to put him second, I have no problem with that. I just don't want Profar being punished and put down at the bottom of the lineup because he's done such a fantastic job. And I think it helps Profar also to have players like Soto, Manny, Tatis batting behind him. But Profar doesn't have any speed, but look at what Profar has done in the leadoff spot. He's been amazing. I mean, the Padres' problems this year have not been Profar. Profar has been, before the season started, people said, God, just cut him. Just release him. It's a bad contract. Now it looks like he might opt out at the end of the year because he's had such a fantastic year, both defensively and offensively. John, the retired guy, says Tatis is not a leadoff hitter. He's a third or cleanup guy. I think Tatis you can put anywhere in the lineup. I think he is a good leadoff hitter because, like Mookie Betts, he sets the table. He gets it running. He can steal second. He can hit for power. I know it says they have Soto and Manny for those spots. I agree. It's a tough decision. I think Bob Melvin will do whatever. I agree with Noah that Tatis can hit anywhere. He's just that type of player. He's like, again, Tatis is our Mookie Betts. He sets the table. He gets the ball rolling. That's why they seem to score. They're always putting pressure on the pitcher because there's always somebody on base. Again, I'll bend a little bit with Profar. Whatever it takes to win, I don't care. I just feel Profar has done a great job at leadoff. Then put Tatis at second, then Soto at third, Manny. Again, there's so many options the Padres have now that they didn't have early in the season. It was the two guys hitting were Profar and Manny Machado. Now, Manny Machado has been struggling since he hurt his ankle. So what do you do there? He'll bounce back. It's just a matter of time. But again, you got rid of Hosmer. You got rid. Boyd was part of the trade for Soto. The Padres, again, the lineup now, at least you have some options where you can put players, move them around. Again, Tatis is one of those things where I go, okay, you want Tatis to get as many at-bats as you can. But I'll bend. We'll move Profar to seventh and put Cronenworth at 8. How about that? We'll flip-flop. We'll flip-flop them. But again, like I said, the Padres pitching has to do a better job. Hader has to be. He's played one game he's pitched one game as a Padre and got the save. Again, because we've lost 4 in a row. Now we play the Giants tonight, and I know John, the retired guy, is a Giants fan. We always struggle against the Giants. It's one of those things where the matchups there, but we should be able to take the series from the Giants. Nothing against the Giants, John, the UPS guy, but they're just not the team they were last season. And then I think the Padres, you look at the wild card right now. You got Atlanta has the top spot, and it's Philly. Then San Diego has the final spot. Then Milwaukee's behind us at 1.5 games out. Milwaukee's kind of in a tailspin. The Phillies don't seem to lose. The Phillies, like the last month, seem like they're every 10 games are 9-1, 9-1, 9-1. They're just on fire right now. They could overtake the Braves, to be honest with you. You look at it. But then again, I thought the Braves were going to overtake the Mets. The Mets came back and had a really good series against the Braves. Took 3 in a row from the Braves. The Braves are a great team. Phillies are playing great without Harper. They're doing this all without Bryce Harper. San Diego, there's no reason San Diego can't beat those 4 teams. They just can't beat there's no reason for that. No, it says the Padres seem to lack togetherness. They don't seem to be playing as a team. Obviously, Tatis coming back will help. But they had Tatis last year and it ended up bad. I think that what happened last season was, and I've put this in the chat and Twitter and people, I think Tatis when he came back from the injury and they put him in the outfield, he kind of had an attitude. He didn't want to play the outfield. He wanted to play shortstop. And the team last year, we can blame Tatis, we can blame Manny, we can blame the offense. But what happened last year was the starting pitching was gassed. And the starting pitching got hurt. Darvish got hurt. Clevenger wasn't on the team. We had guys that just weren't pitching very well. And then you had the bullpen, which had to pitch so much in the start of the season, did such a fantastic job. Well, they were gassed. They were just done. So it's just a combination of a lot of things. And then just the wheels fell off. John, the UPS guy, says, Melvin was the right guy to manage a team. Giants are about to give the future a shot. Then later, no one of the Giants lineup scares you. I agree with that, but you never know. But you saw when the Padres were playing the Rockies when they first got Soto, there was a lot of excitement in the dugout. I think the chemistry is there. They just have to get over that hump. It's just a mental block with the Dodgers again. John, the retired guy, says maybe there's too many egos. Too many egos it could be that. And they have young players. Soto is only 23. But again, you have to have, what is the identity? What is the Padres? What's the system? The Dodgers have a system. It's almost like, okay, you come to the Dodgers, you're gonna have to work the count. You're going to have to go the opposite way. I mean, how many Padres are just dead pool hitters? Cronenworth, Grisham are not power hitters, yet they're always pulling the ball. The shift kills those guys because they don't spray the ball around. They have the talent. I've seen Grisham do it. I've seen Cronenworth do it. But half the time when Cronenworth goes the other way, he just pops up. There's for me, Cronenworth, and I love Cronenworth. He's probably my favorite player on the team. Dude lets too many pitches go down the middle, and he swings at the pitcher's pitch. It's like he always has 2 strikes on him. Once in a while, again, I'm all for working the count, but sometimes when the pitch is down the middle, that's the pitch you have to swing at. That's the pitch you have to go for. A lot of times he doesn't. So anyway, conclusion, Padres can win this thing. Padres can go all the way. And I think Tatis, a lot of people are saying, well, Tatis isn't going to turn things around. Tatis is the guy. Noah says, Tatis definitely has an ego. Grisham, too. We all know Manny's problems. Profar is a bit of a baby. Cronenworth is the one guy that can be the team leader. Yeah, I think Profar, I think he is a little bit of a baby, but again, he's had a great season. I mean, I can't argue with that. Manny, I think dude wants to win. He just wants to win. I love Manny. I think, Manny is Manny. Tatis definitely has an ego, but I think Tatis, if he wants to be the face of baseball, if he wants to be that guy, again, he has to stay on the field, but the Padres have to win. I mean, right now, I went to a Pirates game earlier in the year, 2 Pirates games in Pittsburgh. So many kids out there had Tatis jerseys. The Padres could be, and I know it sounds crazy to say this after the series we just had, the Padres could be America's team. With Soto and Tatis, 2 young players that are so damn good, they could be America's team because nobody hates the Padres. The Padres have been so bad since day one. Nobody hates them. People hate the Dodgers. People hate the Yankees. People hate, I don't know if people hate the Cubs, but the Padres, nobody hates them. They would want to see, unless you're a Dodger fan, people want to see a team like the Padres beat the Dodgers. They want to see that. John, the UPS Dodgers are fantastic at working the count. That's annoying. The Giants did that well last year. They did. I remember when the Yankees had back when they had Chuck Knobloch, and they were so literally every guy came up to bat. It was an 8 pitch pitch at bat, and that was really before the pitch count became a factor. Now you have the pitch count, and as you're a pitcher, and you have like a 10, you have a batter gets, you're up to it's fifth inning, and you're already at 80 pitches. You're thinking, okay, I'm about ready to come out of this game. That puts a little pressure on you. It puts pressure on the pitcher. So working the count is huge. And as I started to say earlier, the Dodgers, they bring players in and they become better players because either you buy into the Dodgers system or you're out. They don't mess around. Of course, they have the money to say, you know what, we're just going to release you or we'll just trade you for nothing. We don't care. We want players that come in and buy into our system. And that's how they win. They win because they get smart players that build into the system. You look at their lineup and I go, I wouldn't want Max Muncy. I wouldn't want Cody Bellinger, the player he is right now. But they beat the Padres. That's how frustrating it is because they play to win. Where other teams, like I said, like the Padres, just are just hoping for that 3-run homer or whatever happens. Instead of you need to move the runner. I watched the whole series. The Dodgers runners first and second. They hit a fly with no outs. They hit a fly ball, sac fly. Runner at third. What's the next batter do? Sac fly, run in. You rarely see the Padres do that. That rarely happens. It's just one of those things. Jim Watari says anything can happen. Let's see which teams are hot in September. Yeah, look what happened last season. The Braves got hot. They got on a roll and won the World Series. That could happen. It's how you're playing at the end of the year, not the beginning of the year. You just have to get into the playoffs. John Retired Guy says Tatis needs to play smarter. 162 games is a long season. I hate the Dodgers and the Padres for what it's worth. I know you hate both teams, and right back at you. But, again, you have to play. It's a long season, and Tatis plays every game like it's the last game of his life. Again, he has to stay off motorcycles, and like I said earlier, he can't be running around. If the game doesn't mean anything, or if you're winning big or losing big, don't take that extra base. Don't risk it because he still has the bad shoulder. His shoulder has never been repaired. Now he's worked out. Hopefully it's not an issue, but the shoulder has never been surgically repaired. Hopefully he comes back and the wrist is fine. John Retired Guy says the Dodgers will clinch early. Will they be able to rekindle that fire in the playoffs? That's another factor. Sometimes when you have a big lead and you start cooling on, okay, we got this. You start, you can't just turn it off and turn it on. Can the Dodgers do that? Now with the Dodgers, again, with their pitching, it's always a factor. When you have great pitching, and I did a video on this a few months back about the Dodgers and their pitching. I'm, like I said, almost 60 years old. They've always had great pitching. Since I've been alive, they've always had, from Drysdale to Koufax, Sutton, Fernando Valenzuela, Oral Hershiser. You can go on and on down the line. And those are they always had those number one guys. And then the other guys they'd bring in, Bert Happy Hooten. They just had guys that just, Tommy John. They just always had guys that do well pitching. And that is the key to baseball is pitching. Pitching and defense, and then timely hitting. Even when they're not hitting, like I said, again, with the Dodgers, they're working the count, they're stealing bases, and they're hitting sac flies or hitting the ball. If you got a runner at first and second, you don't hit the ball to short, hit the ball to the right side of the field to move the runner over. Obviously not a double play, but you want to move the runners over. Padres, again, they don't do that. They don't do that, and they have to. They have to start manufacturing runs. Now, with Tatis coming back, like I said earlier, he's the guy that's going to steal bases. He's the table setter, and maybe like Noah said, maybe we put him at leadoff. Yet I'm not against it. I just feel that Profar has been so good at the leadoff spot, I don't want to lose that either. But we'll see what happens. Like everyone's saying, it's a long season. The Padres have a fairly easy schedule the next 20 games. they should. Well, if they can't win these next 20 games, have a huge 1-loss record in these next 20 games, then forget it. It's just not going to happen. But I feel the Padres are good enough this season with the talent they have to go on a run to get in, to guarantee themselves a wild card spot and maybe get home field advantage, because the team that finishes on top gets the first 3 games. The first 3 games are at home. The first 3 games are at home, and that would be huge. It'd be huge for Petco. Fans of San Diego are desperate for a championship. They're desperate for a team that wins. And people can say, "Oh, winning's not everything." Yes, it is. When you've been bad for so long, you lost your football team, because of a terrible owner and his greed, and you just want, and you have an owner now for the Padres that says, "Hey, I'm opening up the checkbook. I'm going to put money into the team." You want your team to be successful. And like I said, like Jim says, Tatis is a spark for the team. And I'd like to see Padre fans get off Manny Machado's back. The pitchers are upset with, like John says, it's right. Winning changes everything. When you win, again, that's why we said we got Soto, we got Bell, we got all these players, and we beat up on the Rockies, who we've struggled with for the last 2 years. I would think we had a better chance of beating the Dodgers the last 2 years than the Rockies. Seriously, it was that bad. But you beat the Rockies 4 out of 5. It was a 5-game series. You lost the last one. Again, we went into this weekend series thinking, okay, we can win at least one of these games, maybe 2. Who knows? You could sweep. But it turned out we played terrible. The Dodgers just own us. And we have to figure out a way to beat them. We have to figure out a way to just blow them out one game. And again, it's hard with their pitching. Like I said, their bullpen is great, except for Kimbrel. I'm no longer a big Kimbrel fan. I think his best days are behind him. Again, he has moments. He can still throw the ball hard, but consistently, is he the guy? But they never really had to use him in a safe situation because they were blowing us out every game. But that's all I got. Thanks for joining me. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Again, long season. But I'm not giving up. I'm not one of those Padre fans that are giving up. There's been a lot of positive people on Twitter, but the Dodger fans come in and let me just say one more thing about the rivalry. The only one bringing up the rivalry is Dodger fans. I don't give a rat's ass about being a rival with anybody. The rivalry I know is between the Dodgers and Giants. They have a long history of hating each other. I remember when I was a kid and before the Padres were a major league team, I'd watch baseball with my dad on a little black and white TV, and I said, "Oh, they're playing the Giants." I was like 5 or 6. I go, "The Dodgers are playing the Giants," because that was the only game you could get, because again, Padres weren't a major league team. I go, "Are they going to fight?" Because usually there'd be fights and stuff like that at the games we watch, because they don't like each other. There's a long history of hate there. They both came from New York. The Giants, I think, had first shot at Los Angeles, but they took San Francisco. Not saying it was a bad decision. They've had success in San Francisco, but I guess they could have been the Los Angeles Giants, but they wanted San Francisco, which is fine. But again, I don't want to be anyone's rival. They keep bringing it up. Screw that. I just want to win a championship. I don't care who we beat to win the championship. Now, we know as Padre fans, the road to the World Series is through Los Angeles. We have to beat the Dodgers probably in order to win the World Series. They're going to be there. They have the resources to continue building a farm system, to continue to get the best scouts, the best coaches. They do a great job of molding their players, and they can go out and get a free agent when they want. If they want to go out and get Freeman, they get Freeman. They can get anyone they want. Anyone they want. When Soto's a free agent in 2 years, if they want him, he's going there. We can't do anything to stop that. And we could sign Soto now, the Padres. What will they? Will they sign Soto to a long-term contract? Remains to be seen, but I'm not worried about that. We have 2 seasons. So again, the Padres have to start doing things the right way, building their farm system, keeping those players, again, I'm not against the trade for Soto. I think it was a great trade. He's 23. He's one of the best players in the game. He gave up a lot of players that could potentially be great, but we don't know. But you ended up getting it wasn't like you trading someone, great player, like when they traded for Frazier last year, and they gave up all these young players, and he turned out to be nothing. He didn't help the team. You traded for a player that is an absolute stud and a fantastic, great player. So I'm not against that. But eventually, again, like when the Padres traded Ty France, I was against that trade. Ty France was great at working the count. He just didn't have a position because Hosmer was blocking his way. I think if the DH was here, they probably would have kept Ty France. But again, we've traded a lot of great players away that could have helped the team. But going forward, you still have some good players in the farm system. Mold those guys into good players so you can replace players that their time has come. Or do you want to pay a huge contract to Jake Cronenworth? You want to pay Profar a boatload of money. If you have players, what the Dodgers do is they let their players go a year early opposed to a year late. They don't give big. If they have they usually have someone in the minors that can replace the guy that's going to want, like when they let Seager go. They had Trey Turner. They traded for Trey Turner. Now Trey Turner is a free agent after the season. Will they sign him? I'm sure they have someone in the minors that can replace Trey Turner. As crazy as that sounds. So they will let players, instead of playing Seager, that huge contract they got with Texas, they let him go. And they put Trey Turner in there. They didn't lose anything. In fact, I think they gained something. I think Trey Turner is the better player than Seager. But like John the Retired Guy says, it's a good trade if they win. If the Padres win, yes, that's a good trade. Again, you have to win. If they lose, well, then it's a terrible trade, especially if the young guys like Abrams and Woods and Gore. I mean, losing Gore hurt because the Padres really don't have any pitching in the minors that's ready to come up and contribute. So there's going to have to be some trades or some free agent because they're going to lose probably Manaea, and Clevenger's a free agent. I would re-sign him, but what's he going to want? That's the key, because I think they have Darvish, Musgrove, and Snell under contract next season. Martinez, who's been going back between the bullpen and starting rotation, he can opt out anytime you want. Each year he can opt out. Will he opt out? I don't know. But he was a good starter, and he's been, like I said, he's been very good in the bullpen. But that's all I got again. Just want to tell everyone, calm down. Still got, 45, 50 games left to go. Padres can still make the playoffs. They can still make noise in the playoffs. John the Retired Guy says we can have Rogers. No, we'll pass. You guys, you Giants can keep the twin brother. We don't want him. But the Padres, again, they can win it all. The Padres can win it all. I believe they can win it all. Just have to put things together. And I think they will. Once Tatis comes back, he's going to be that spark that, you need that guy, that rah-rah guy, the guy that just pumps the team up. Manny, I think, leads by example. And I think people don't like Manny. Manny's did some things early in his career that pissed people off. I get it. But as a Padre, as a San Diego Padre, Manny Machado has been nothing but a positive influence on the players. You listen to players talk about him all the time, and they always say what a hard worker he is. He's always the first one there for infield practice, batting practice. He's working out. He plays through injuries. And if you haven't seen the injury when he against Colorado where he twisted his ankle, it looked like he broke it. And he didn't go on the IL, and he gives 100%. Like John, the UPS guy said, I thought you were signing off already. I am signing off. I am out of here. But final word, be positive, Padre fans. We're going to be okay. And I think we can win. I might come back tonight after tonight's game against the Giants. I might just see how it goes tonight after we beat the Giants. I'm going to say it's going to be 10-3 tonight. Padres win 10-3 tonight. They beat the Giants. Snell has a good game. Because Snell, if he just realizes he has tremendous stuff, and I think he's got it now. I think he's back to being Blake Snell of old. But that's it. I'm out. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for the comments in the comment section. Bye, everybody. Subscribe, like. Have a great day.